Grab the mic. Tell us where your message they come from. Tell us how you take get belle. Tell us how you take become the champion of the champions for pen, mic, and stage. You don't tell we dey hear of your matter. We dey agree you, we dey see you for TV and satellite distance. Show us say you don't set. We know say you set. Grab the mic. Give us crafts wey make yesterday bam. No forget to blend down with that of today. Correct mixture, they always make sense. You know they ever miss any of your line. You don't tell, we don't dey follow your line. We dey see, we dey read, and chop rhymes from page to page, from stage to stage. Just give us your rhyme and reading. We know say you no go comot for line. Grab the mic. For more on this, make you download Genty Audio.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Tongues and Voices. My name is Ojiugo Uche and I am grabbing the mic as Mr. Eriata said in the video before. So thank you for those of you that are joining us for this third installment of Tongues and Voices. Several of you might have been on the previous attempt to interview Sir Eriata. Thank you for joining us once again. So here on Tongues and Voices, I, Ojiugo Uche, co-founder and CEO of Genty Media, talk to writers, creators, actors, entrepreneurs, and more about the work they are doing at the intersection of African language, African culture, literature, creation, and expression. This is, of course, very much in line with what we at Genty do. At Genty Audio, we have a platform for on-demand audio across audio dramas, stories, podcasts, poetry, and more, with over 4,500 hours of content in 12 languages. And we are honored that one of those authors that we have is Sir Eriata Oribhabor, who I will be having a conversation with today. Now, before he comes on stage, a few things about him because he's many things. Sir Eriata Oribhabor is a poet, an author, a foremost Naija Pidgin Promoter, an activist, a literary activist. He's a family man, and those are just the highlights. In addition, he was a former chairman, Association of Nigerian Authors, Abuja chapter. He also drives and currently leads Poets in Nigeria, PIN. He's also been behind Nigerian Students Poetry Prize, Poetry Festival Calabar, among others. right? And has we'll talk a bit more about the work that he currently does, whether it's at Eriata Heights, at poetry competition that he conducts every year. So it's such an honor to be speaking with Sir Eriata today. Welcome, sir. I appreciate your time. As
Thank
I
you.
keep telling you, I appreciate not only your time but your enthusiasm and the work you do, right? Bringing forth voices, our stories in whatever language of choice, both your work in English and also in Nigeria Pidgin. So thank you, sir, for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I gave a bit of a spiel about you, a bit of introduction, but please, I would love to hear also your words because I only gave the highlights. So, please, over to you, sir.
Honestly speaking, I must thank you for considering me worthy to be to I mean to grace your stage here, as it were. Your introduction actually was all encompassing. You've spoken all about what I would have wanted to say in a brief intro. But I don't really know what to add other than Eriata Oribhabor is a passionate promoter of poetry. Everything poetry is what I promote. I strongly believe that poetry is life, and for that reason, every situation I find myself, poetry, I mean, comes in. I'm inspired by every situation to write about poetry. For that reason, that Eriata Oribhabor Poetry Prize, I mean, was set up in 2012, managed by World Rhymes and Rhythms since 2012. We've been holding that competition, and it has been well managed by World Rhymes and Rhythm. You mentioned about Poets in Nigeria initiative, which I also curate. We have very fantastic poets in the family. We call ourselves the PIN family. We've been working, doing a lot. And I've even been able to publish a maiden Poetry Nigeria magazine, which is like what encapsulate all what we've done in a year, starting from 2021. So this year we are going to publish out of 2022. That will cover all happened in 2022. Poets in Nigeria is a very huge organization with different initiatives. And these initiatives are initiatives that could be like, each one could stand on its own if we have the right mix of volunteers to manage all of them. And we've been doing fantastically well. Sometimes we pride ourselves as the biggest poetry promotion of the country, because it is actually our vision to be the biggest in the country. I'm happy, in fact, you're getting to meet Genti. I'll call it divine, because I've long looked forward to a platform like this to actually showcase and promote further what we do. We do lots with different organizations, but I think Genti has come at a very nick of time, and I see it as one of the loudest organizations in terms of audio documentation that we are all archiving, that we all are going to enjoy in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I mean, I think a great way to come out of it, and that's why I keep saying that I'm very excited by your enthusiasm and encouraged, right? Because seeing the work that you've done, and for you to tell us that Genti is the work we're doing is things that you've been looking for, I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
floored. And I think that leads me to how I want to sort of start the conversation. I want to first of all frame this conversation. So, sir, I've introduced you, you've added more to it. Anyone listening knows from this that you are a highly prolific writer, also very engaged, in the community of, authors, poets, so very active in that space and looking to also foster new generations of people with the student prizes, with the Eriata Oribhabor Poetry Prize and more. So, I mean, I hope everyone listening can hear that and just the breath of energy and just the intensity of energy that you bring. But that leads me to how we even met, right? You see, you call it divine in a way, but for me, I think it also speaks again to your work fostering the environment that we are in. And we at Genti, we thought to ourselves, right? there's so much out there. There's so many stories out there. We've only started scratching the surface, talking to folks on Nairaland, on Facebook, like Sentino, Amasat, getting their stories. But we recognize that there is a wealth of stories out there that maybe just haven't yet come out. And so that's what fostered us to do the pigeon competition, because we
Yeah.
believe that's a space. The pigeon language is a space where we use that language day to day, yet it is highly underrepresented in a lot of creation. So when we opened up that call, part of what we also wanted to do was to get behind it, reputable judges to come on board with us to judge the results. And in looking for those, of course, your name came up. And that's how, for me personally, who is someone who has been, interested in pidgin and in just language generally, that's how I came across you, you know so not yes, not too long ago, but still trying to reach out to you, because of course you don't know me from anywhere, but trying to reach out to you. The members on our team were able to reach out to you on LinkedIn, on Facebook as well, and for you to respond so graciously, because I'm sure you get a lot of messages, but for you to respond and see like the shared vision and the potential was such a boost for us, right? Like even beginning by that time, like by time that response came in and starting to understand just your portfolio, and the work you've been doing, I was just continuously more and more excited and appreciative of you
Thank
even
you.
giving us the time of day. So thank you, sir, for that. That's sort of how
Thank
we
you.
met.
Thank you.
And now we're on this journey. Now you're going to be on, judging our competition, and so much more. So, sir, in this conversation, I not only want to wax lyrical about, what you represent, right? But I also want to talk to you about your work. I want to talk to you about your work because you are like from the prolific angle, right? You release poetry almost daily on your Facebook with over 3,000, followers, right? You have that engagement, you have that writing practice. So in this conversation, I would be looking to understand coming to this place, right? Your story, what were some of your influences, but also your writing practice, and particularly understand, what inspired your um literary activism, especially around pigeon, and how that has been going. So those are some of the themes that we'll be covering in this conversation. And
Yeah.
there's no better place to start than your childhood. I know you identify as a worry boy. I see that on
Very
your
well.
on your
Very well.
profile, and that's something you carry. So just curious to understand, you know, w- your childhood in worry. What were some of the key things that have informed what you do currently?
Well, I grew up in Warri, where I attended my primary school. And in Warri, we trekked to school in barefoot, like Goodluck Jonathan used to say. And I attended the Baptist Convention School in Warri, although not far from where we all grew up, but you need to trek to school. And it was fun trekking to school and back. Warri is a place where, irrespective of the tribe you claim, your first very major encounter must be Pidgin English, because it is spoken like almost becoming a Creole in that town. So if you grow up in that kind of place, what will always inform you will be that, what can you do? What could we do with Pidgin? Because you travel everywhere, and once you speak with anyone that is from that locality, just by mere speaking, the person will
Yeah.
connect with you and say, are you a worry boy or a worry girl? And you become friends, you become brothers, or you become sisters, as the case may be. Then if you take it to other tribes, when they hear somebody from Warri speaks the pidgin, they will immediately connect that either this person is from Warri or is from the Delta, as it were. So Warri is a unique city. It's a unique place, especially if you go back to history. Warri was like one of the most popular metropolitan towns in those days, after Saple, Warri, and all that. So all the towns and cities here in this country today, Warri like senior to almost all of them. But you know, when you start doing state creation and you find out like very major towns of those days becomes the corner rather than the center. Warri, rather than going forward, it will appear that it's going backward. But you see, the spirit of the average Warri person is the never say die spirit, which we have also coined to mean worry, not the carry last. So, having grown up in Warri, for after when I started working, I was transferred just before I was transferred to Kaduna. It occurred to me that I need to document some of these words because I saw that some of the words were extincting. Pidgin words were extincting. I said, these words, we used to use these slangs those days. What happened? This word, we used to use it. And Warri is a place where pidgin words are like minted on a daily basis. And if these words were to be extincting, then it will not be to the advantage of the Warri person or even to the language itself. And I started writing down in an organizer. I've shared this with several friends. I started writing down words, phrases, anyone I come across, somebody speak along the road, I started writing them down, keeping them in an organizer. Then when I got to Kaduna, I brought them into a dictionary, which we've been working on for almost forever, more than 10 years, or let me say 15 years now. I'm going to be out this year by God's grace. So the pidgin language, as it were, is the most popular spoken language in this country that connects every tribe, and foreigners are beginning to key in. So I'm very excited that Warri, no matter how you want to write about pidgin, you will mention Warri. Then if you mention Warri, what happens to the people from Warri? They'll be glad to be associated with that language, and it has always been like that. Even recently when I traveled to Warri, I started hearing words that I've not heard before. And I kept asking questions like a novice, like a new person. You understand? So the average Warri person, whether you are in London, whether in the UK, whether you are in the US, wherever you are in the world, you always feel that you are missing something. And that something is the pidgin language and how it helps to bring people together. It's a very great platform for bonding. And pidgin today is widely spoken. Even professors, doctors, politicians, even while campaigning, most of them that are campaigning today, after speaking one or two lines of English language, they just feel incomplete, feel they've not really communicated. They go back again to the pidgin and used to emphasize what. So why not make the language an official lingua franca? I think that's where the drive for me is and has been that you see speaking English language now. Sometimes when you are speaking, it take you time to arrange yourself, to deliver. But when you are speaking pidgin, you flow. In fact, when I started writing pidgin in Abuja, started promoting pidgin in Abuja way back 2011 and so on, a lot of people thought that I wouldn't be able to write English language. They felt it was only pidgin. But I decided to put pidgin at the forefront as a front burner because that is the language of the future. In fact, it is always the language here at the moment.
Yeah. Fantastic. And sir, you've taken us through so much, right? Like from your childhood to what pidgin means to you and the place it has and holds.
Maybe I said much about pidgin without talking much about my childhood. Let me talk a little bit about my childhood.
Yes, and the influences. And I will come back to some of that pidgin. But yes,
I have decided to go back there because it is what I have captured in one of my stories, one of my books, to be titled My Father's Bicycle. This is Eriata Oribhabor. My father's name is Eriata Idoni Oribhabor, but pronounced in our Eastern language as Oribhabor. If Eriata Idoni Oribhabor was my dad, And my own book is bearing Eriata Oribhabor. So what will differentiate it is to add the poet. So when some people hear me write the poet, they wouldn't even know that it's because I bear the same name with my father. The middle name will just be different. So I'm from a family of 8 males. 8. Interestingly, we were all in just one room apartment many years ago. And we were very happy, we were very lively, we enjoyed ourselves. How we managed to sleep in one room with my father's bed in that room, with another smaller bed, 6-spring bed at another corner, and a space reserved again for my father's bicycle, which must always come back and kept in the house, not outside, because it could be stolen. It's a whole lot of things inspire what I do today. And at every point in time today, you find me, I don't like being huddled up in anywhere, because I believe while growing up, I was actually huddled up in one room. 8 siblings. If you think about it, you imagine what this person, a lot of things must have influenced his writing. So you need to see life from very humble beginning. I had a very humble beginning, even though then we used to think that we were poor. But at that time, we still see people come and take food from my mom, come and beg for this. And my mom was also always very, very great and giving, always giving and all that. So I must say that I had a very humble beginning, a beginning that should inform whatever I do in life, meaning that will always make me have open hands and transparency, a beginning that should make me reach out to people. And that's why when you talk about Eriata Oribhabor Poetry Prize, it's all just about promoting the name Eriata Oribhabor. The one, Prince Eriata Oribhabor, that's my father. We are from the royal family of Okodua in Edo State. And he was very, very prolific in the use of very powerful anecdotes. So sometimes when you hear me try to use, I call it Eriata on marble. Whatever I write in when it comes to what people will generally say words of wisdom, but I say I call it words on marble, because it's more than just words of wisdom, because it's a creatively delivered words on marble. And I feel anytime I use that word Eriata on marble, I'm promoting my father's name, because he did so much for us and really did enjoy when he was supposed to be enjoying some of us at this time. So I think his name lives beyond. Yeah.
I also when I hear Eriata on marble or words on marble as well, I think about it being etched, right? Etched in a stone that is going to carry on.
Of course,
And I
yes.
think that speaks to the legacy. Like you're also working from a place of legacy, right?
Yeah.
You're a junior like Eriata Oribhabor and taking
Yes.
that on and
Yeah.
wanting to pass something on, continue to pass something on, and leaving something on marble. Thank you so much for sharing, sir. Like what has influenced you to peek behind, the person to what has made you, right? Is very interesting. And I think for me, another thing that stood out when you were talking is how you talked about your humble beginnings, but yet, how you came from a place where nevertheless your mom your parents were still gracious about giving to others. And I
Yeah.
think again, not to overemphasize it, but sir, I think whenever I see you and whenever I talk to you, it's just again the generosity of your spirit comes through,
Oh, thank
that
you.
that I can't overemphasize, and of your attention. But sir, I think switching gears a bit to something you had mentioned previously about, on the one hand, worry being a place of pigeon and pigeon, you know, joining the different
Ethnics.
people in exactly
Yeah.
ethnic groups in worry together. You have that on one hand, and how a lot of times, like, there is such a thing as worry pigeon and it's known for what it is, and many people in worry have that as a like first language, right? But on the other hand, you also talk about your travels around, you mentioned Kaduna, around Nigeria, and also beginning
Mhm.
to take your notebook, right, and writing not only the words you saw in Wari or you heard in Wari Pigeon, but also across the country. So,
Yeah.
sir, I want to ask about that. And I know you, if I know correctly, you were traveling for work because you previously worked at the Department of Petroleum Resources, and you were being posted to different places. So tell me, sir, in all your travels, what what did you find about how pigeon changed in different places and its ability, to bring people together?
Yeah. I want to say thank you again for this question. Yeah. I actually was behind my transfer to Kaduna because I was schooling at the University of Abuja on part-time, a degree
Mm,
program. And as a junior staff, I felt it would be more expensive for me to start traveling from Warri to Abuja to take lectures and back. So I applied for transfer and I was transferred to Kaduna. So
mm,
on getting to Kaduna, I I would say because of the interest I have for promotion of pidgin and coming from that background, I also discovered that there were words that were being used as slangs there in Kaduna that personally I felt if we could use our own some slangs as pidgin in Warri, then there are also slangs in other places that could be encapsulated into the bigger picture of what I was trying to do. And I took a lot of those ones, and they are part of what we are doing. When I even got to Abuja again, there were some others, some kind of slang, some kind of words. The thing that a lot of people don't know about Nigerian pidgin is that Nigerian pidgin, every tribe, almost every tribe has something inside that language, unknowing. Because, like I said, one of the most recognized metropolitan towns in this country was Warri. And a lot of people, different tribes, had lived in Warri and are still living in Warri till date.
mm,
So in those days, in the days of the oil boom, when we used to call Warri the oil city, so several trains must have brought people to that city for economic reasons and so on. Then you talk of Sapele, where you talk of the AT&P company of many years ago and all that. So this axis had attracted the economic positivity of the economic space at then had attracted a lot of people to those places. Then only politics of the country destroyed a lot of these things and even bring people that hated to live together happily to start fighting themselves,
mm,
over nothing. So Kaduna offered another platform, another, let me say, genuine opportunity for me to connect with some other slangs. And they are all captured in that dictionary that will be released
mm,
by God's grace this year. My technical partner on that program, has made promises, but by this February ending, will be done. But I even told him that even if you to A to Z, let us deal with Nigerian people and the world. And as you know, as I believe, as Genti will just be like the first body to embrace this dictionary and put it out to the world. I wouldn't be able to start mentioning some of these words now, but there are a lot of words I got from
mm,
Kaduna. Maybe after a while now, I could remember some slangs in Kaduna that have also been captured in Abuja, have been captured. Sometimes I even ask questions. What is the meaning of this? Why is it popularly used? It's like somebody telling you in Warri, you say, oh, but a long time. Oh. When in Kaduna, now somebody will tell you 2 days. What is two
Yeah, yeah,
days?
corner view.
Yeah, you want to say it takes it from the Hausa,
Yes.
like Kwana view, like we've not seen for the past 2 days. But in what time,
Mm,
you think don't tell when we see you. So you can see 2 days, you bring it into your pidgin, and somebody
mm,
from abroad comes and looks at the dictionary and sees that the etymology of that language. And if he gets to Kaduna and says 2 days to somebody, they will say, they will ask the white man, how come you can understand this 2 days? So 2 days is Kwanabu, it's taken from Hausa. There's Hausa, there's Yoruba, there's Igbo, there's even TV, there's all tribes inside the pidgin. Nigerian pidgin is everything to Nigeria, and Nigerians must embrace that language as a very viable connector, something that will connect all of us for good.
Mhm.
Imagine you travel abroad. What will I be speaking with you if I want to say get to hear? It's our pidgin. And
Now
interestingly,
PG we go
the,
talk now. Make we code down. We go code down small. You
and
PG code down.
interestingly, the entire Africa, thanks to
Mm,
Nollywood and so on, the entire Africa, they are connecting with pidgin. They are
mm,
connecting. They have their own pidgin, but they see Nigerian pidgin as the bride, of pigeons and crows in the world. In fact, many years ago, while I was in Abuja, I handled a program on radio titled "Make We Yarn" for about 2 months before they had a problem with their mast that fell down. And when they called me back to come and start that program, they were asking me for money for advertisement and all that and all that. I told them that me, I'm just a civil servant. I don't have more money for that. They should allow the program run for a while until when we will now have sponsors and all that. So they couldn't wait. And that was how the program. And then it was on base that I even got this book titled "Make We Yarn." I decided to maintain that name,
mm.
Make We Yarn, because I
Yeah.
feel that that word just came to me then and there. Anyway, at that time, a lot of radio stations were not into pidgin, but today everybody is making it. And I said it many years ago that pidgin would take the center stage in terms of communication in this country,
Mhm.
and it's happening before our eyes. Look at it now. I also said that people will begin to make money from pidgin, either they are teaching or for their writing. And just last week here, I made 20,000 naira from Genti for reading a story. Just imagine if I had 10 stories to read in a week, is that 100,000? So let pidgin take the whole space. Recently, a friend of mine, Larry Williams, he just started a website called pigeonpoetry.com or something. And he reached out to me and I said, yes, this is what we all have been waiting for. So we thank God for what is happening. Thank God for Genti for coming at the nick of time. More will come out from pidgin. And in fact, if you have more stories for me to read, please let me know, because if I'm reading one story every week for 20,000, I go a long way. I'm a senior citizen and I'm not an expensive person. So if you have any story for me to read, and I have a story to read, like 2 stories in a week for 40,000, that's big money now. So we're going to carry us along. Make we start to enjoy for all the labor we don't labor for this country for promotion of pidgin.
And I get you, I mean, because for us the thinking is to also create a marketplace, right? To be
That
able
is
to
it
sell
now. That's why I say Genti has come at the nick of time. And God will
time.
bless Genti. So Genti will become the biggest in this country.
Amen. Amen. We tap into it. We tap into it.
Yes. We need it.
And so
Oh
I
my
think
God.
that's a good place. I think that's a good place because as you said, that if we go somewhere else, na pidgin we go dey yarn,
A
But
pidgin
here
now.
we just this we did now English we take the talk, but as the spirit moves us, we fit enter pidgin one. But at this point, sir,
Once. Yeah.
exactly. But at this point, sir, I'll beg your indulgence for you to, if you can read for us your poem "If Travel Na Food," right? Because
Wow.
you've talked now about your experience traveling and
Yeah.
um in and seeing.
Oh, man.
This one doesn't look too good. Too white like the flakes, too thin, too ugly, too weak, too much hair, filled with lies. Just too much of everything. How much does she go for? Do not underestimate her. Her look may be deceptive. She is as strong as a camel. She walked 100 miles from the Sahara to the Leke Island. She's worth the price I've given you. You can pay 30 instead of 35 shillings. I'm giving you a good price. Take her. Well, I don't believe in any God. I worship money because money answers all things. I'll pay 25. If you are not selling, then I'll go to another dealer. I don't have time to waste on some useless slave. Okay, pay the 25 shillings. I watched in silence as the first dealer counted the money before handing me over to the second man. He was happy to be free from me. I have been with him for long and nobody had been able to buy me off. And when he finally sold me, he was happy because he was not totally at loss. He bought me in the Sahara from a slave market after the merchant offloaded us from the sea to the shore. He bought me for 23 shillings and sold me for 25 after working under the scorching sun and arriving at the present port. The second dealer made me walk so fast as he led me with other slaves through the passageway. We all seemed to be between 11 and 17 years, not more than that. I was the most free among them. I was tired, hungry, thirsty, yet I had no right to complain because I was only a slave. My fate had been decided. It had been predestined, but I was not scared. I might be in a foreign land filled with foreign gods carved in different shapes and sizes. I might have lost my mother and father, with Joe, my brother, and Catherine and Deb, my two sisters, to the cold hand of war, but I'm not scared. This is Tama, a story written by Ama's Heart. My name is Ama's Heart, and I'm a Genti storyteller.
Hi. Hi, everyone. And we're back. I think I cut off very briefly in the middle, but I think we're back now. And before leaving, I believe Mr. Eriata was about to read a poem for us. So, sir, if we can pick it back up from there, and you can read, if travel na food, that would be amazing.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to read If Travel na Food. If Travel na Food is just one of my several poems written either on food or on travel. Because whenever I travel, as a foodie, in fact, I describe myself as a foodbicious person. Yeah, because I like to connect with foods that I've never met before. I like to connect with new food. So if I'm always excited when I see new food, rather than say, what kind of food is this? I'll say, please, I like to eat this food. So because I travel and I like eating food, I said, if travel, and I see travel as something that could influence my travel, I could say, okay, because of this particular food that I had never eaten before, I could travel to a particular town just to be with that food. So if travel na food now becomes the title of a poem I wrote freehand. If travel na food, na him dey hungry me now. Na him fit pump fresh water inside the lines of my vein to help me think of where I never visit before, like any street for my area. As I just dey think of my area, na just for plateau plus the scent of one local food where I first eat for Kaduna, dey toss for my head. Na pete for Bauchi, Gombe, Adamawa, and the beautiful mountains of Taraba. If travel na food. Na Jalingo dey hungry me now. I don't read down for paper and na real, but my eye and leg never touch am. If Mambila Plateau na correct stew, make it be the stew where I go take show the amazing sights of Bamenla Island. If travel na food, na Boki for Cross River dey hungry me. Wetin man ever see plenty for Boki like the beautiful swallow birds wey their colors na rainbow. Na how dem dey fit dey migrate from Naija to Oyibo land and back to Naija I wan discuss with the birds. If travel na food, why I go dey worry? Why I no go dey worry to go to Warri for Delta, where Romeo Popo Gari and Juliet Bonga Fish don dey carry themselves from time Imo River. Banga soup go remain queen forever, to stash wey be a super king forever. Na why I dey always worry to go to Warri. If travel na food and heat never comot for ground, I wan sit down for the waterfall of Ohuodua, my small village wey get big plans. I go like to baff for our Ihan River and write yesterday enter today for people to see how big we fit be tomorrow. Thank you.
Travel na food. Thank you,
If
sir.
travel na food. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I know you love.
that
I know you
poem.
love that poem. Yes, I know you love that
Yes,
poem.
I love that poem because of the, as you said, like it combines some of favorite things. Number one, the food element, but also the places, right? And you paint such a picture of the different places and the
Yeah.
sites. And that's for me one of the things when I hear about you and your travels. I think you have had the chance to travel a bit within Nigeria. I think I've been to now 22 out of 36 states, but still, there's still a lot I've not seen, and sometimes I get sad because traveling and with the ease that it used to be is being hampered by insecurity. So I really hope that there can be more of that inter
State
Nigerian
travels.
travel. Exactly,
We'll
interstate
come
travel.
back.
More of that happening, hopefully. But thank you, sir, for sharing that for us and for
Thank
reading
you.
that so beautifully for
Thank
us.
you.
I think I wanted you to do that to connect us with the pigeons, to also connect us with your experiences that you shared around travel. And I think at this point, then in the conversation, I want to again switch gears slightly and talk now about you know particularly to talk about your works and some of what to share a bit more about your works, your approach to writing as well, and some of the many amazing things you're doing. So, sir, you're very prolific, right? I was stacks and stacks of books you write and you've written. And as I mentioned earlier on Facebook, almost every day you have a new poem that you're sharing with your and engaging with your community. And so I'm just curious, how do you what's your approach to writing and to creating and to expressing? How do you keep that practice regular?
Keeping that practice regular, as described by you, is I've always just to keep it practical is to be practical. Yeah, because if I like writing and I like reading, if I don't read, I wouldn't be able to write. So at every point in time, I always find something that will engage me. I don't have any dull moment in my daily affair. My family, they know, my friends, they know. So my approach to writing is to always get something to read, to travel, to connect with people, to change environments. Like I said, my own travel, my own thinking about travel doesn't really mean you have to travel from here to the United States or anywhere. Even leaving your street and you can take a holiday in some streets away from you. What is important is that you've changed your environment. So my approach to writing is to see that I have something that inspires me to write. And once I get anything, I just try to see that I do something. Then I'm also always on the social media, Facebook to be specific. Sometimes I just flip back to what I had written before. I will go and start editing, correcting, because most of the things I write were first written on Facebook, on my timeline on Facebook. Everything you see that has become a book. So I tell people that they must have read my book, a part of my book, or my books. So writing is pleasurable. Art is a pleasurable thing. It's something that is therapeutic on its own. Reading is also therapeutic. So I see myself as somebody who will not be happy if he's not writing his experiences, his thoughts and feelings. And like I used to tell some people or friends, I say the opportunity to write your story is a complete different opportunity. It's on a very higher plane. A lot of people have stories to tell, but they won't be able to put them down. Even in speaking, they can't say it, but they don't mind if they have somebody to do that for them. But here is someone who cannot just write, can also at least express himself boldly. So my approach, like if I want to say directly, is to say that is to keep doing what you are doing, reading, writing, and everything. I like putting it down. I may just be in the toilet, I may just be at the kitchen, I may just be anywhere. It's even now that I don't write much, because sometimes I find myself trapped in the situation where it's like I'm trying to repeat my. But you see, creativity is the push. If you are very creative, I describe myself as grounded, because at every point in time, whatever I had written before, I could rewrite it again and again in different ways. So a writer shouldn't go to sleep. Mr. Eriata, why not take a holiday, go and rest? If you travel to Republic of Benin, Cotonou now, are you telling me to go and rest? You'll be putting me to another challenging situation whereby there are a lot of things that will now kind of put my creativity to test. So and that's why Lagos is everything for me. And I used to tell my friends, that anyone that care to listen, that as a Nigerian, if you visited Lagos, then you're not a complete Nigerian, because Lagos is a boiling broth of creativity. There's everything and anything you want to see in Lagos that will inspire you. There was a time I came to Lagos in 2014. I will be riding in the car. Several times I had bumped on people's car behind and all that. But once there's a traffic, rather than being annoyed, I will be happy. I will write in and writing. And that you see a lot of poems that I had written on traffic. I don't usually say it so that they won't say, the day I have one incident now, they'll say, hey, saying they always they write for car. I did a lot of very beautiful poems while in my car. Once there's a traffic around that around CMS, oh my God, I say, okay, I'm a senior person in the office. Nobody's going to query me. So I'll just be writing and writing. Then somebody will horn from behind. Pam, 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 pam. I'll say, oh, I'll start driving. So Lagos is everything. Lagos has inspired my poetry more than any other city. But Abuja provided that very, very first platform that gave me all that has led to today. So if you look at the relationships I made in Abuja, a lot of my friends in Abuja, they still want me in Abuja, because they keep wondering, how come you were able to stay in Lagos? But they forget that as a creative, everywhere is just beautiful. Anywhere you find yourself is fine for a creative, whether you are speaking the language of the people or you're not. In fact, if you are not even speaking the language of the people, you even have more opportunities to write things. So the writer or the poet is always never boxed, like I say. You cannot box a poet. In fact, the poet will write a story in a poem. So when you see a poem and you want to commonize that poem, it's an entire book you have just read. Right. That's why somebody will get a story and he will write in a prosaic form, or a prose, and you see an entire book. But a poet just wrote one powerful poem that is a story on its own. It's everything. It's encapsulated in few lines where brevity speaks in all. So I am so happy that I can proudly say I'm a poet. time there was, I wouldn't even agree that I'm a poet. So going back to when I started writing poetry, having started writing poetry in Pidgin, I think I was mocked, literally mocked by some friends, but they didn't say it to my face. They say, how can he say he's writing in Pidgin, and he wants to become the chairman of an association of Nigerian authors, Abuja? How can you? No, I mean, they were using it as a way of saying that how can he say Pidgin? Then Pidgin was not to be heard of. Say that how can you use Pidgin to write literary issues? I mean, so but thank God for Leadership newspaper that provided me an opportunity to not just write English and Pidgin together, which I call promotion of the Naija. I call it Naija Pidgin Naija language A to Z column on the Leadership newspaper while I was in Abuja. What I wrote then has become the book Good Old Night, which will also be unveiled hopefully this year. So it's a long way coming for us, all the way from Warri down to Kaduna to Abuja, back to Lagos. Everything is just working out for me. Then now Genti. Just imagine.
There's so much, sir, so much in what you said. So much. Sorry, I interrupted. Please go ahead.
Go ahead. So now Genti. So just imagining Eriata is turning 60 years in this year, April this year. Then Genti just came and said, no, the last year that they want to talk with me, they want to do this. I said, what is happening? And then it's been a busy time since that December till now. We're doing a lot. We are planning more for Genti and all that. So there are things I would have wanted on my own. So when I see anybody doing that thing, I'm always excited because you've taken a load off that person, because we are not in competition.
We can collaborate.
Yes, collaboration will become the real language, and that's how it goes. So thank you for bringing this your powerful medium, which I believe a lot of people want to connect with. Yeah, really.
And thank you, sir. I mean, we are sort of standing based on the foundation that you and other Pidgin creators have done, and also bringing the respect. It's very interesting to hear you say that you feel like there was some more crew to but I think that's less so today, and so it's amazing to see more and more the Pidgin language being embraced for what it is, the opportunities that there are in creating authentically, right? In a lot of ways, we already do this in our day-to-day lives, but it is to create authentically and in a way that is very true to a lot of us in the Pidgin language. Through all that you've said, you've told us about the works you did on a personal basis, right? But you've also you've done on a personal basis with Leadership Magazine, with your solo works. I don't think you mentioned here exactly, but
West
one leg
Nigeria,
forward, two leg backward. Make we yarn.
Yeah.
I'm a boy yard.
One for the road.
Yes, but and it's extremely prolific. But I also want to understand, as we begin to round up, and before we start taking questions, wanting to understand how you see the community aspect, because I know in addition to sort of the works you've written yourself, you have also done, you have the Pidgin Perspective, you have Poets in Nigeria, you also have works that you've edited as a group. So if you hear say I did if you hear say I did Prison, it was a collection with a lot of other Pidgin writers, enabling that. So I'm just curious about, Eriata Heights. Could you tell us a bit more about how you think about community, right? So coming from someone that for themselves, right, but also your community and activism and engagement. What's the vision behind that?
Yeah, Eriata Heights is a non-governmental. Eriata Heights is a space. I mean, that's creatively driven. We have the creative space. Eriata Heights is going to have having the creative space and has an event space. So the creative space is where we could do a lot of things. It's supposed to be like a community, a forum where people from the community will come do their normal things. It's just like having a town. I don't know how to put it now, a town hall or something. There's a library there. the community is supposed to enjoy these things that we enjoyed those days that are hardly found around. So putting it in that community, which unfortunately for now, a lot of the people there still don't know what they have, but people will ask you, why Oreo Kuta? Why Oreo Kuta? I said, people live there. So if people live somewhere, they should enjoy the same thing that others enjoy any other place, because they are human beings. So I am looking forward to a situation where people who are creative will begin to connect with that space and promote it, as it were, because everything is supposed to be there for us to do. We have a hall that you can hold an event. You have a creative space that offers space for you to have some soft drink and things like that. Then you have the library. You have a small hall where you could do a lot of small events and so on. So what it says is that it is supposed to be a place that people will come and express themselves creatively, whether you are a musician, whether you are a dancer, whether you are a drummer, whatever you are good at, you come and hone your skills, as it were. It's going to be a place for everybody, open to everyone who wants to become something creatively. So it provides you the opportunity to see higher than you ever imagined. And it's already on a height. So if you're able to be on that height, then you can hit higher heights. So Eriata, as a person, my father, Eriata Oribhabor, was to us an enigma, someone who made sure that all his children went to school. My father never went to secondary, neither primary, never had a literary background. But in those days when we were growing up, when you see our father will sit by us reading our book in the evening, you would think that he went to school. He will sit with us from that 8 or after we've had our dinner, 7 or 8, till around 11 to 12, we will be reading our books. It will be my mom that will be begging him, allow them to go and sleep now. You don't do, let them go sleep. You see him quarreling with my mom. He said, don't you see the way they have been playing since morning, playing all over the place? So if you are the type that plays too much, you in fact, he will tell you that, no worry, in the evening, you and him go see. You understand what I'm saying? So he never went to school, but he will sit with us, listening to what we're reading. If you are sleeping, he will flog you. That was how my father brought us. So you can see that kind of person who said, because I didn't go to school, all my children will go to school. He was not only saying it that all of us will go to school and go and sleep and just be working for the money. No, he will sit with us and be monitoring what we were doing. And then when he just hear, sometimes we blab. One want to play while you will just be blabbing. If you see you blabbing, he will not tell you, oh yeah, go sleep. You don't try, go sleep. Meanwhile, he didn't know that you were not even reading. So each time I remember my dad, we used to laugh and say, he didn't go to school, but he will always be with us, ensure that we were reading our work, whether we were writing whatever we were writing well. He didn't have the capacity to cross-check our works, but just to listen to us. So when you now hear Genti, is audio.
Yes.
You could see the power of audio, then and now, and even in the future. Somebody didn't go to school, just listening to you reading. He believes that you were doing it. I mean, that's it. So it's very interesting that, and we must thank God for the opportunity of our literary background. Not now that you have to pay so much to go to a private school, thinking that we went to public schools, and the public schools were all everything. I schooled in Warri, and later schooled in Weru Grammar School. I think I need to mention it. My secondary school in the then Ughelli local government area, not local government now. I schooled there, and a very memorable experience that I don't forget was when my mom accompanied me to school, and when he got to the school, he discovered the school was deep, tucked inside a forest, because in that village, just one road that leads through the town, where was the that behind us was, and my mother burst into tears, but wondering why she should leave her son who grew up in the town and dump the child in But today I'm happy that wherever she is, and my dad, they will be happy that their children, none of them, will fall their hand, as we used to say in Pidgin.
Yes, to fall
you know,
around.
say we
That's
were be say, say we were be say we sabi Pidgin. We need a hook. If we
we
speak
need a
English and we get where we want hook, we just use Pidgin take follow up.
actually, sir, as you talk, if we get person we don't give us query, I just see I'm now the person is saying, but sir, and I suppose they use pidgin language do this program. So they don't give
Yeah,
us query. Now
yeah.
just
You
now
know
when we dey
why?
round up, we don't see them.
Say we no go fit use Pidgin throughout because the Eriata no be only Pidgin in right on. So
Nah,
we go dey blend all of them. Assuming you say this program today na only Pidgin, we go sit down well. But say plans dey to bring program where we go dey use just Pidgin to take yarn, and by that time we go bring in different people, then go come talk and all kind of things like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So exciting things dey. Ijoma Felicia, we don't hear what you talk. When when program with now only pidgin, we go use talk
We go
and
use
we
am.
go come to tell you. We go use them.
Yeah.
But sir, thank you so much for that conversation. I think very beautiful to hear your arc, and I think how we started the conversation from worry, like from your childhood, and even ended it in your childhood as well. I think to that question, that final question around what inspires you to go into community. What I heard was that your father was also a very big influence, and
Yeah.
also influencing Eriata Heights, and you keeping that legacy on of your parents of
Yeah, but please,
generosity.
I would like to mention, at least for the records, I don't want to, even though I had mentioned in my book, my most senior brother, Prince John Bull Oribhabor, while we were growing up, as the most senior then, he started working before all of us. He will always buy newspapers. Newspapers, every day he will buy newspapers. And it was true, part of those influence came from those newspapers. I always read newspapers back to back. We'll read and read from front like this, back to back, read and free newspapers reading them. So I think I have to accolade him for that, because he did a lot in terms of exposing us to reading newspapers and journals, as it were. Then, yeah, even up to today, I know he still buys newspapers. He reads newspapers a lot. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Then, so like the community you were around fostered that literary spirit, and now with Eriata Heights, you're looking to do the same for others. So, sir, I think that brings us then to the end of our conversation. At this point, if you can quickly share with people where they can find you, including Genti Audio, of course. And then I will read a few, there are no questions per se, but a few comments people have for you, and then we'll close out. So where can people find you and connect with you and hear your work across different platforms?
Yeah, as it is right now, the first platform that you can get me now is Genti, and Genti Audio. You can get Eriata, or more of my works will be loaded on Genti Audio. You listen to my work, listen to my stories. A lot of them are coming. Then and thereafter, of course, my Facebook page is everything to me. Once you go on Eriata Oribhabor on Facebook, I have Eriata as a regular Facebook user. I have Eriata as a poet. Eriata as several. I have up to 3 pages as an author. Then I'm on Instagram as well. I wouldn't be able to be quoting all the handles, as it were, but on Instagram, the same Eriata Oribhabor. You go on LinkedIn, Eriata Oribhabor. You go on Twitter, Eriata Oribhabor. So I think as it is, that is what I can say. And you can connect with me everywhere on the social media platforms. Yeah.
Fantastic. And sir, I think instead of saying again and waxing lyrical about just how encouraged I am about your enthusiasm, your support, I'll just read a few things from others who are echoing me. So good evening, Sir Eriata Oribhabor. Great achievement, dear sir. Let your thoughts and efforts be acknowledged, right? Then someone else saying, Chinatu, Oji saying Sir Eriata Oribhabor has contributed hugely to the widespread of Naija Pidgin via his work. Glad to witness all of these. Many thanks. This is from Chinwe Iwuchukwu. Many thanks to those of you that know how to express your thoughts in words creatively. Sir Eriata, thumbs up, clapping. So, sir,
Thank you.
I think this is a great place to end. Just, so much appreciation for your time, your enthusiasm, and also the work you're doing. I think your activism, and your activism, your prolific personal writing, but also bringing people together in community. It's been a pleasure
Thank you.
conversing with you. Thank you, sir. And I think
Thank
that's
God for the network today. The network is better and stable. So I appreciate you. Thanks for having me anyway. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Poetry writing is a unique act. And if you are writing poetry, you cannot be boxed. Because you can't be boxed, you find everything becoming an inspiration. And it's also dependent on how your disposition is at that material time.